Can an affordable AI bird feeder actually identify birds accurately? Is it worth buying? So full disclosure, Harymore Company sent me this bird feeder for free and asked me to try it out and make a review video. And they said that there were no requirements on what I said. I had full license to be completely honest about this. And I just want to point out that on this YouTube channel, and I have another much older YouTube channel, my email inboxes are always full of offers like that. And this is honestly the first one I have ever accepted. So again, they sent me this for free. I had to buy the micro SD card with my own money. I did pay for a subscription to the app that goes with it with my own money. They are not paying me anything. And I have full license to give you a completely honest opinion here, which is exactly what I'm going to do. All opinions are my own. So why I wanted to try this, I was actually really excited about this. If you know this channel, you know that I love birds. I love bird photography. I've never bought one of these bird feeders before, and I was really curious to see how it would work out, especially for other people. I was very curious about the AI bird identification, the camera quality, the notifications, and overall ease of setup and use. So let's talk about what's included with this bird feeder. There is the actual bird feeder, and for me, it came in two parts. I just had to attach the bottom piece onto it. And I did have a little bit of trouble because there were 3 different types of screws, and it didn't specifically tell me which screws were supposed to go there. I just kind of had to do trial and error. But if you're doing this, it's the smallest screws. So 3 screws across the bottom to attach it. The camera was already attached to the bird feeder when it came. There is a solar panel on the roof of the bird feeder and an additional separate solar panel that you can set up if you desire to. There is mounting hardware and templates too, which I thought was a very nice touch. There's a charging cable to charge it in your house, as well as then the cable on the solar panel. There are a few accessories that I'll get into, and then there's the instruction book. The overall build quality is very good. It's plastic, but it's a very solid and durable plastic. Assembly could honestly be 15 minutes or less if you aren't struggling with figuring out which screw like I did. Mounting, the mount depends where you want to mount it. It does come with a strap, so you could mount it onto a tree or a pole, but then you can also mount it on other things. So we chose to mount it on our block wall, and it wasn't challenging. My husband did do it, but if you have a drill and you have concrete drill bits, then you can absolutely mount it onto a block wall. So yes, 2 of us did do it. My husband did the mounting stuff and I did the actual bird feeder, but I could have done it all myself. I initially wanted it in a different location than where we ended up putting it, but it was because of the solar panel is why we chose the spot we did. And so far it's been very popular. So I think we chose a really good spot, and we have it underneath a shrub. So the birds come through the shrub and then get onto the bird feeder. For the most part, some just fly straight in. So I initially wanted the bird feeder under this apple tree area over here, but we realized the solar panel for this bird feeder needs to face south, which is that way. So if it was on this wall, we'd have a hard time aiming it towards the south. And it also specifically said do not have it under the shade of a tree. So we chose this spot over here, and it has this shrub here that I do see birds in. And then this is the solar panel mounted, and it's pointing to the south. And then this is the bracket where the bird feeder will go. So the birds can land in this shrub and then come to the feeder. But they also have other shrubs and trees. They can land in these trees and work their way over also. So they have a lot of options here. But you definitely want your solar panel facing the sun. I'm in the northern hemisphere, so the sun is to the south. It's this way from my house, in case you're wondering why I'm pointing that way. You also need to have a Wi-Fi signal. So they have the instructions for the solar panel installation, and they tell you that it's recommended to place it horizontally and then tilt it towards the south. And you tilt the angle according to your latitude. So I had to Google this. I had no idea what my latitude was. I just told Google the city I live in, and it told me it was 30 something degrees. I forget. I think it was 34 degrees. And so we angled it about a 30-degree angle towards the south. But they do tell you, do not install the solar panel under eaves, in the shade of trees, or facing any other direction than the south, so long as you're in the northern hemisphere. It does also state that it will not work with 5G internet. You do need it to have internet connection, and apparently it doesn't work with 5G. So that could be a no for some people, depending on the internet that you have. But overall, the setup was very simple and easy. I was a little nervous about setting up the app. I have mentioned many times I am not a techie person, but it was relatively easy. You download the app, they have the QR code in the instruction manual, you connect it to your Wi-Fi, you pair it to the feeder, and you set up your notifications. I will say there are some issues with that, and I will talk about it in a little while. But overall, for a non-techie person, I did it by myself, and it really wasn't very difficult. The notifications are spotty, and I don't have issues with any other app notifications, just this one. Sometimes they come through, and they come through exactly as I set in my settings, and other times there's no notifications, or they come but not the way I set them up, because I set them as persistent. I turned on all of it, and I also added persistent because I don't want to miss the notification. I'm very particular in how I set up my notifications with every single app that I have. And I put it the way that I wanted it, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I don't think it's a deal breaker. I still enjoy the bird feeder. I just make sure that each day I go back on the calendar in the app, and I'll show you the navigation of the app. I go back to the day before and just check for anything that I missed. And there's always a whole bunch of stuff that I missed. So I wanted to do a little overview of the app. So when you come into the app, if you see at the bottom, the bird is lit up green. So we're on that tab, and it shows us the 5 species it has spotted. Of course, the Steller's jay and rock dove are incorrect, as is the California scrub jay. Those are all woodhouse scrub jays. And the canyon towhee is correct, but that's because I corrected it. It originally said it was an Albert's towhee, which is not in my area. Then we move over to the live tab on the left, and this is what you see. So it shows you your Wi-Fi signal is good, your battery is good, and if you hit that little play button, you are going to go live and see whatever's going on right now at your feeder. It does take a little bit to connect, at least mine does, but there we go. There is no birds right now. And then if you click on View Library, it gives you the calendar. So the ones with the red dots after DB Photos means I have not viewed them, and I have not gotten any notifications today either. These are all from today. And we'll go back to yesterday. I try to make a habit of always viewing the day before, whatever day it is, and checking all those that I have not seen with all the red dots. And you can see some of them have a little bird icon, and some of them name the species. And then some have no icon at all. So this one says there's a spotted towhee. It has the bird icon and the name of the species. So this one worked properly. Then let's go to one that doesn't have a bird icon. And you can see there's a person walking by. It's my husband taking out the trash. So that was correct. Then this one has a bird icon with no species listed, and it's again a spotted towhee. So you would think it would identify it if it has other times, but it didn't. Then this one doesn't have a bird icon at all, but if we open it, there is indeed a spotted towhee. So don't just ignore the ones that don't have bird icons, because there are mistakes. So then if we go to the Feeds tab, this is where you can find really interesting educational information on the birds, as long as it identified the correct species. There's a lot of unknowns here, but there's a lot of information on the spotted towhee here, and it's very interesting. course, that's not a Steller's jay, so ignore that information. It's not accurate. It seems to struggle with identifying the woodhouse scrub jays. They're either unknown or, again, that is not a rock dove, so don't read that information. It's a woodhouse scrub jay. And that's not a California scrub jay. And then if you go to the account tab, it shows you all the stuff you need to run your account and access. But let's talk camera quality. So this is 2K video. The daytime video is very decent. Sometimes, depending on the time of day, the lighting, the way the sun is, there's a lot of glare and it's a little harder to see the bird really, really clear. But you can see the bird. I can tell what kind of bird it is. And then at night, when it does go off, it's never been from a bird. It's usually my dogs roaming around the yard. But I can tell that you could totally see the perch on the feeder very well, even at night. The audio quality is good, except at the beginning of each video, there's no audio. And then the audio, it starts with just video and then the audio kicks in. But the parts that have audio are very good. I can hear it very clearly. The still photos are decent that it does take, but a lot of times I just screen record the video and then I pause it and get my own stills that I like too. The motion detection seems good. It picks up people walking by, it picks up the dogs walking by, it picks up the birds, and it usually is right. It will show you when it detected a bird, and sometimes it'll tell you what type of bird it thinks it is. But if there's no bird symbol on it, then that means it shouldn't be a bird. And sometimes it is a bird, and it just doesn't label it as such. The video resolution itself is decent. It's not fantastic, but in my opinion, it's very decent. I am not using these for like wildlife photos, a bird sitting on a feeder. It's just more for fun. I probably will incorporate a video series on my channel, who's been at my feeder lately, periodically. So you will see this footage continuing on my channel. As far as the AI bird identification, it's very hit and miss. Most of the time it nails it, but occasionally it gives you the wrong name of the bird, or it doesn't have a name for it at all. Initially, I was very concerned by this because I thought if you are wanting to learn birds and that's why you bought it, or you're gifting it to someone who wants to learn birds, that could be a real problem. But I did some research because I've never used one of these feeders before, so I don't have anything to compare it to. But I did research, and it seems like across the board, they all struggle with the identification at this time. You can go in there and correct it and put what it is. I'm wondering if it learns from that or not. I don't know. If it does, that's actually really good, but I don't know for sure if it does or not. And I'll show you some of the mistakes. Some of them I already corrected, but I will show you some of them. So AI is a helpful tool, but it's not perfect. If you are really wanting to learn birds, then I would recommend also getting like the Merlin ID app and screenshotting photos and running them through that and double checking. Again, the Merlin app does make mistakes occasionally, but it is definitely more reliable than the bird feeder in my experience. As far as the bird feeder itself, I was trying to find the exact number here. I do not see it in the instruction manual. I will get it and I will put it up here on the screen. But this is a large seed capacity feeder, which means you don't have to fill it very often, which is very nice and convenient. As far as the ease of filling it, I have to knock off a point here, because taking the top off and then putting it back on is actually the harder part. I wish they had like a button you could push to then release it. You just have to like get it over the little knob in the back, and then there's two little pins that have to line up in there. It was incredibly hard to close it because it came open, and then especially once you have seed in it, because you don't want to be spilling the seed all over while you're fighting with it. I had to ask my son to help me, and even my son, who's almost a grown man, and he's very strong. Even he was struggling, and it actually, at one point, it just slipped on accidentally, and we just left it there. So especially if you're giving this to like an older person, I have to say, I think opening and closing it is very challenging. That's probably the biggest drawback, in my opinion. As far as weather resistance, it's summertime, but we are having monsoons. It is experiencing a lot of rain as well as heat, and it seems to be doing okay. I know in the winter when it snows, you have to make sure the solar panel stays free of snow. You have to clean it off in order for it to keep working. For squirrel resistance, where I lived before, we had tons of squirrels and they were always wreaking havoc in my yard. We don't seem to have any here. Thank God. But it does have on the app, there's a little alarm with a picture of a squirrel, and you can sound the alarm if you see a squirrel on it and chase them away. And hopefully in time, they'll be like afraid of it and they won't come back. We can hope. Rain performance has been good. It's been raining and it's been very, very windy here at times, and it's been totally fine through all of that. The battery life is very impressive. I initially plugged it in my house overnight and it was fully charged. I now have it outside. It has the roof solar panel and the extra solar panel. And I go in there peeking at it all the time and looking at it live. And it does warn you about your battery life, especially if you have a family plan. But I have not. The battery has stayed full, and I've had it for just over 3 weeks at this point. So I think that's really impressive. Again, the notifications were a challenge. They just don't work the way I have set them up most of the time, but then occasionally they do. And it's not a Wi-Fi. It always has a good Wi-Fi signal and good battery when I look at the app. So it's not those things. I just don't know what it is. And there is the wrong IDs on birds at times. Sometimes it just doesn't even give you the symbol that there was a bird there. So you might not look at that one, at that recording. You might think, oh, there was no bird. It was my dog or a person, and you don't look, and you might be missing out. So always check every recording that's there. Also, I changed the setting. I believe mine came set to record for 10-second intervals, and I put it for up to 3 minutes. So if the bird leaves, it still records for a few seconds past that. But if it stays the whole time, mine will record all the way up to 3 minutes max. And again, no battery issues by doing so. So I did want to go over some of the specs that are listed on the Amazon listing for this bird feeder. It states it has advanced AI and it identifies 10,000 plus bird species. With a Vico Home app subscription, you can access detailed information about each identified bird. This is perfect for both beginners and seasoned bird watchers. It offers a fascinating way to learn about nature, enjoy live viewing, and turn every visit into a wildlife lesson for all ages. I will say it did have very interesting information. You can look up information on the bird that it identifies, and it does have some very interesting and educational information on the birds. That was really nice. I do think the AI system needs to know more regionally where birds are, because some of the IDs it gave me are birds that aren't even in my area. So continuing with their specs, it says that you receive a bird arrival notification. So instead of just sitting around with your binoculars all the time, you can wait until you get a notification, and then you know to go look at your feeder. Hopefully your notifications work better than mine, if that's what you're wanting to do. It automatically detects visiting birds like bluebirds, hummingbirds, etc., and it records videos of the birds entering the detection area and sends real-time alerts to your phone with clear snapshots. The Harymore bird watching camera lets you capture close-up shots full of character and offers an enhanced bird watching experience. So this is designed for both observing and feeding birds. It features a 120-degree wide-angle lens and 2K resolution video. It is motion activated, and it lets you clearly observe the visiting birds both day and night. It has a built-in 3x magnification that captures close-up details, such as their colorful feathers. And it has a 2-liter, there's the number, 2-liter large capacity container, so you don't need to keep refilling it frequently. It has an IP65 waterproof funnel design that keeps the food dry. So it's great for bird watching and bird lovers. The Smart bird watching camera records videos and saves them to the cloud with a 3-day loop recording with a 2-year trial, or a memory card, 128 gigabyte micro SD card, which is not included. The app supports multiple users and makes it easy to share charming bird clips on social media. They say that it can strengthen communication between families, like parents who always like to share the beautiful moments of birds. I will say, when I got the app subscription, it asked me if I wanted the individual plan or the family plan, and I forget how many people are supported on the family plan. I believe, I should have screenshotted this, but I believe the individual plan was about $70 a year, and the family plan was like 100 or 120-ish a year. I'm sorry, I did not screenshot that info. I should have done that. So back to the specs. It says it is both battery powered and dual solar panel powered. The bird feeder camera is equipped with a 3-watt built-in solar panel, and then there's an additional 3-watt external solar panel that you can mount. So you no longer need to worry about frequently charging it or bringing it inside to charge it, especially if you have the family plan. There's multiple people waking it up and looking at it. And it has a 5 dBi external antenna for Wi-Fi connectivity, and it works with 2.4 gigahertz. It says that the 5 gigahertz is not supported. Okay, that is all the specs that they have listed that I wanted to make sure I shared. Psst. Hey you, I wanted to interrupt your video for one quick moment. YouTube is telling me that the majority of my viewers are not subscribed to my channel. So if that's you, if you're watching and you're not subscribed, I would love to ask you to consider subscribing. If you like the video, please give me a thumbs up and consider sharing it with others that you know would love it. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Now, back to your video. So looking at the pros of this bird feeder, it is relatively easy setup. There is good image quality. The bird ID is somewhat accurate. It is solar powered. You don't have to worry about charging it up. And it's very fun for beginners. Honestly, this is not something I would buy for myself, but I love getting it. And I think it's a wonderful gift idea, as long as the person, you know, it's someone who wants a bird feeder, enjoys bird feeders, and will actually keep it filled and actually use it and enjoy it. Some people just don't like that sort of thing. Looking at cons, there are definitely the AI identification mistakes, but again, like I found when I researched, that's pretty common amongst all of these bird feeders at this time. There are app limitations, especially with the notifications. You do need to subscribe to the app, which I did not realize when I got it. You do need to buy the micro SD card. I was not aware of that. It is plastic. Maybe some people don't want plastic, and it is going to have a limited Wi-Fi range. We have not had an issue, but our backyard is not huge, as you can probably see on the images from the bird feeder camera. So who would I recommend this for? Backyard birders, maybe beginning bird photographers, or people who just want to start learning the different species of birds. Families that can enjoy it together. Nature lovers. It's a wonderful gift idea, in my opinion. I think this is something just amazing to receive as a gift. And maybe it's not for a professional wildlife photographer, although I am, and I still love it. But for sure, people who don't have Wi-Fi, that is probably going to be a big issue. It's probably not going to work at all. Or maybe people who only have 5G. So I'm going to give it a score, and I'm going to say 8 out of 10. There's the identification issues, which I don't think it's that big of a deal. There are the notification issues, which are annoying, but it's not a deal breaker. The biggest issue for me is opening and closing the top to fill it. I think that is probably the biggest con of the whole thing. So I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. And like I said before, this is honestly something I probably would never buy for myself, but I actually love it. I loved that I received it basically as a gift, and I think it's an amazing gift option. So would I recommend it? Absolutely yes, as long as you understand and are okay with the limitations and you aren't expecting perfection in the identification. Okay, my sincerest apology, because I realized that there were two things that I failed to mention in this video, and I think they're extremely important. So I'm going to add them on here, and I hope nobody bailed out early and is missing this part, because this is really important. Number one is the app. So I use an iPhone. I don't know how Android works, but I have an iPhone, and when you go into settings at the top, you click, it has your name and it's your whole account. It's all your stuff. And every app that I have a subscription to is listed in there, and I can turn on or off the auto renew, and I can cancel stuff. That's like when you have a free trial, that's where you go to cancel if you don't want to pay for it. All of that is managed in there. And this is the only app I've ever subscribed to that is not there. And I really don't like that. I now have no control over it. I don't know how to turn off. I'm sure it's probably on auto renew, but I have no idea. And I have no way to control it or turn it on or off when I want to. So that is a huge con, in my opinion. The other thing is that there are accessories that came with the bird feeder, and they mention that they're there in the instruction manual, but they don't show you how to attach them. There is this one. You can put something in there, and it has like a very specific shape to it, but I don't know how you attach this onto the feeder. There's also a hummingbird feeder. I'm not even sure, I guess like this. I'm not even sure how it goes or where it's supposed to go on there. They don't show you that. There are these guys. They're like little plastic forks. I think you're supposed to put pieces of fruit on here. And again, they have little things like you should put them in something to hold them, but I can't find anything on the actual bird feeder for that. And then there's this little bowl. I'm using it to put peanuts in the shell for the woodhouse scrub jays. And I just sit it on the perch area, but it does have like this little piece that looks like it should slide into something. I can't find anything there. So I don't know. I guess my point is that I wish the instruction manual was clearer with this and with which screws to use for what job. But I have shared some feedback with them through email, but I can only hope that they will take that and put it into practice and improve. So have you tried a smart bird feeder? I would love to know which one you've tried and how you liked it. Please let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a great day, and God bless you.